Google Ads offline conversion tracking, the Google Click ID, and UTM parameter pre-population into hidden fields of your lead generation form or scheduling widget or any iframe or non-iframe like acuity scheduling, type form, etc. Let's begin. All right, so I'm going to start off with a quick demo, and then I'm gonna explain why we are doing these things. So let's pretend that this here is my Google ad. So I'm going to click on the Google ad. All right, so now we have our unique click. I have some UTM parameters here in my ad, like UTM source is Google, medium is cost per click, the campaign is summer sale, the term is running shoes just for demonstration purposes, and we also have the click ID, which is again the unique click for me, for my computer when I click this thing. So I am actually storing all these parameters in my browser or the browser of the visitor. So here we can see summer sale, running shoes, etc. So even if I click on, let's say, the about page, of course these parameters are going to disappear from the URL. All right, so the URL doesn't anymore, no longer contains those. But if we take a look at my local storage, we can see that my browser is still remembering Google, summer sale, running shoes, the Google Click ID, etc. All right, so now I'm going to submit a contact form. So this is a tally contact form, but this could be anything else. I have, I do these setups, and I will create products for this setup for type form, acuity scheduling, Calendly, etc. So let me know what you're using. All right, so I'm now gonna fill this form again after clicking on my ad. Click submit. So for the visitor, this is business as usual, but my setup, which is kind of what I offer, has done something pretty interesting here behind the scenes. All right, so I'm now heading to my contact page, contact form backend, and I'm gonna take a look at this submission that I just got. Open. Okay, so this is the stuff that they filled. You know, can we zoom? I want to buy your services. But there are now these hidden fields that my setup has pre-populated. So the referrer, this is the previous website. So as you remember, we came in from Google. I clicked on an ad here on Google. So this is almost like an automatic where did you hear about us. Now, of course, it doesn't work for like TV ads, but this is the previous website. It could be TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, or even a referrer, like someone who wrote a blog post about your company and you didn't even know. So how did the people end up on your website? The visited paths is this thing that I'm trying, kind of work in progress. So they came from Google, spent 35 seconds on the home page, then 6 minutes on the contact page, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, tons of stuff because I'm testing this out even before I started recording. So this is another thing that I'm playing around with, kind of a day-to-day analytics without needing to go into Google Analytics. But you could see how, you know, the interested part is how people got on your website, and maybe they read a specific blog post that's very popular and you see a lot of people visiting the same blog post before they fill in your contact form or acuity scheduling or type form, whatever. So this is this could tell that, hey, you need to write more blog posts about this subject because it's bringing in potential clients. All right, hidden fields. The source was Google, cost per click, summer sale, running shoes, all pre-populated into my form. So this is what I offer. I do these setups as a service, freelancing, but I'm more interested actually in creating pre-made setups where you can just buy a setup from my store and just copy paste a simple script into your website, just like I have these conversion tracking setups here. And then you could get this type of setup that I'm describing in the video. All right, so we are now kind of we now see where this person who submitted the form came from, exactly all the parameters, the keywords, and the previous website. So compared to Google Analytics, where we see anonymous data, we see that 100 people came from this ad. We now see that, hey, this person who filled this form, John, who sent the form, came from this specific ad, for example. It could be email, newsletter, tweet, whatever. All right, so the Google Click ID, this is kind of one of the most interesting things that we are doing here. So again, as you remember, the Google Click ID is the unique click identifier for when I clicked on this thing on my computer today. And as you remember, we get the Google Click ID here in the URL, and we store the Google Click ID on the browser. So even if we, close the website and then go back to it, it's gonna keep on remembering these things. And we can then fill them to hidden fields of almost any widget, Acuity, scheduling, type form, any other contact form, Calendly, pretty much anything you can imagine, HubSpot forms, etc. So if this is something you're interested in, definitely get in touch with me. All right, let's talk about online conversion tracking versus offline conversion tracking. So a simple online conversion could be when I Google Nike Air Jordans, then I click on one of these Nike ads, I land on the Nike website, and then I purchase my shoes. So with an online conversion, you can think of it this way, that the money is transferred when I do something within the browser. So this is really easy for Google Ads. Once you set it up correctly, you can hire me to do so or buy one of my setups to do these online conversion tracking setups. But this is generally pretty easy because we now remember the Google Click ID. Now when I do the purchase, we can immediately tell Google Ads that, hey, this campaign brought in 221 euros or dollars or whatever. But for Nike, obviously, when we fill this stuff up, a Nike salesperson is not going to call us after 2 weeks via a Zoom call and talk about what type of shoes we may need. Everything happens within the same session online in the browser after clicking. But now contrast this with someone clicking on my ad, getting in touch, I want to hire you. So maybe we have a Zoom call in 2 weeks, and either they become a paying client or they do not. But we do not know it here when they submit the form, unlike we do when they buy the Nike Air Jordan shoes. So the way the offline conversion tracking works is that, let's say that they, submitted whichever tool you're using, Typeform, Acuity, whatever, and we have the Google Click ID. So now Google will remember the unique click, but we also have safely stored the unique click in our systems. So let's say we have the Zoom call with this client or this lead, and they become a paying client after 4 weeks, and they pay us $5,000, and we send them an invoice or they pay via credit card at our office or whatever. So now, because we have this Google Click ID, we can send the conversion back to Google Ads to have kind of the highest, most advanced level of conversion tracking, unless you're Nike and you sell shoes. But if you sell any kind of consultations or anything where the money isn't immediately transferred by the client on their browser, but it's something that you talk about and then deliver afterwards. Or even if they book something like a massage or whatever, but you do take payments on your office instead of when they do the booking. All right, so I'm gonna copy paste this Google Click ID and send this offline conversion to Google Ads, kind of demonstrate how that goes. All right, so in Google Ads, we have goals, and under kind of conversions, we have these uploads. So we can actually upload this conversion via Google Sheets. So we can get a pre-made template, for example. And to this template, I now copy-pasted the Google Click ID. So you remember, it was from the URL, and then it was in the local storage, and then it was in our contact form in a hidden field. So when they submitted the form, we got the Google Click ID through all these steps, and now we can send this back to Google Ads, which is copy-paste the Google Click ID. Here, we have a name for this conversion. I'm just using the same for all of these. And then when did the conversion happen? Let's say it was for today. Let's say it was $5,000, and now we can actually send this back to Google Ads. So in our Google Ads campaigns, we would then be able to see not just that, hey, maybe we have 2 different campaigns here, and maybe one of them brought in 100 clicks, and maybe one of them brought in 10 clicks. But we're not really interested in clicks or even the form submissions. We're interested in paying clients that, pay us $5,000. So we can now see within Google Ads which ad campaign and which ad set and which specific ad brought in this $5,000 sale. So then you could, of course, compare your ad spend versus how much you're actually getting. So it's much more detailed return on ad spend, dollar by dollar, compared to just saying, okay, our type form or scheduling widget or whatever contact form thing got in 100 submissions. That's not as interesting as seeing that brought in $50,000. All right, so this Google Sheet example is kind of a simplistic version, kind of a manual, semi-manual thing. You could automate this, but a lot of people actually would have their contact form. So these contact forms with the hidden fields, the UTM parameters, Google Click ID, Facebook Click ID, etc., would be sent to their CRM or something like that. And that could be automated by something like Make.com or Zapier, whatever, lots of these automation tools. And here we could upload the conversion automatically, while we're asleep or whatever. So you would just have the conversion date and time. That would be when the CRM lead would turn from a lead to a converted paying client or something. And here we, of course, send the Google Click ID, which we would get automatically from our CRM or whatever. And the conversion value and the currency, again, let's say this was $5,000. So we could just have this automation be running in the back end, setting up our conversions. So these setups are good if you take payments after the online conversion, or if you want a more of a kind of practical day-to-day analytics compared to digging into Google Analytics each quarter. This is much more like every day you are able to see where the leads are coming from and optimize without digging too deep into boring technical Google Analytics reports that are kind of tricky to set up correctly. All right, my fonts broke. Apologies for this. Another reason to do a setup like this is if you want to get 100% of your data and not lose like 30% due to ad blockers. So in our demo here, if we have an ad blocking extension, which often people do, so these may block, anywhere from, 10% to over 50%. For very tech-savvy audiences like, Reddit and stuff like that. with a setup like this, where we would use the local storage. Now, of course, you need to be compliant with tracking your visitors, but this video is not about consent. This is about offline conversion tracking. So ad blockers can't really block these. They can't block Google Analytics, but if we store the URL parameters like the Google Click ID, and then we would just pre-populate this into whatever tool you are using. Again, in this example, it's Tally, but I could implement this for you for almost any tool. If we just add them to the URL, there's not much that the ad blockers could do to prevent something like this from working. So let's say you use something like Typeform, you could then watch responses, and when a new response comes in, you could connect your tools in this type of fashion to do a setup which is kind of robust in a way that any ad blockers will not be able to interfere with it. All right, so if you would like one of these setups to your website, just get in touch. I like to mainly focus on products, but I also do freelance as well, mainly to develop my products. So here is an example for a Typeform pre-populator. So this is pretty complicated to set up for a non-technical person, and it depends heavily on which tool you are using. But yeah, get in touch with me and I will be able to create product that you can copy paste to your website, or in some cases even do a full done for you service to get the UTMs, the Google Click ID, offline conversion tracking, all this stuff set up for you. All right, I hope this was useful. I recorded this video mainly because I want to have something I can send via email to my clients who ask about this, because explaining this whole thing via email would be a very long email. But I'm actually just gonna publish this on YouTube as well, because some people might benefit from a recording of how the offline conversion tracking and the related topics work. All right, thank you so much for watching. Let me know any thoughts, get in touch with me, and I would love to help you sort your offline conversions, Google Click IDs, etc. All right, thanks.